suffered 8 years ago or so. The government here had the vision to amend the Bankruptcy Act and provide for a body of laws which is incorporated in the Bankruptcy Act, which relate to rehabilitation. In the United States, they call it popularly workout. They call it Chapter 11. In some European countries, we call it suspension of payments, but it basically amounts to a freezing of the status quo of a company with the protection of the company against bankruptcy and with the protection of creditors' claims in certain cases if they can prove they have a valid claim. Now, why are we talking about this tonight? Well, obviously we are again in an economic crisis, and a pretty severe one, which has had very severe effects on most businesses in Phuket, whether we like it or not. Hotels are down. Many hotels that are highly leveraged are struggling. Probably many of them are already insolvent. Development projects where people are building condominiums or villas or apartments, many of them are in trouble. And we now get more and more requests, and I'm sure that all of you also are getting these requests from clients who are buyers, mostly, of apartments, houses, villas, apartments. What can I do? I have paid already X amount of money. Nothing is happening. Construction is stopped. We don't get any responses from the owners, from the developers. What do we do now? And it's a very difficult question to answer, and it's a kind of a complicated version of the ordinary claim that was discussed by you just now, because there are a number of possibilities. Yes, of course, you can go down the route that was described by you, but that doesn't always work, because we are talking about companies that are often insolvent, and as they say in the United States, you can't get blood out of the stone. So there's not much to do there. You can file a claim in court, and you can go all the way to the, you can get a court judgment against the developer, but it won't get your money back. So are there other possibilities? And the answer is yes, but it's a yes with a big but. I've done bankruptcy work during the last economic crisis of some very large companies. But these were companies that are not property developers. These are companies that are called now True Corporation. We did the restructuring of True Corporation. It took 2 years. It involved more than 60 creditors and probably about, what was it, $6 billion of debt. But we managed to restructure the company, and now True Corporation is a very healthy company. We did the rehabilitation of Italian Thai Development, which is a very large construction company. And again, Italian Thai is a very healthy company now. We're dealing here with a lot of developers who are not necessarily professional developers originally. During the good old days, we're talking 2, 3, 4 years ago, people who retire would buy some land and start a quote-unquote project. And many people have done very well. And many people have done remarkably well, considering the fact that they're not professional developers. But now we're in a situation that we have a lot of developments ongoing, some of which are very highly leveraged, or some of which are very much dependent on income that is generated out of the contracts that they sign with buyers. And that's where the problem comes in. When you have problems in the economy where you cannot get bank loans anymore, and as many of you will know, it is extremely difficult to get bank loans now, and it is nearly impossible to get bank loans for projects. You suddenly hit the proverbial brick wall. And there's many people that are now, there's many developers that are now in fairly serious problems, and I won't mention any names here because some of them are our clients also. But there are in limited circumstances possibilities to go through the bankruptcy court. There's a special court that deals with bankruptcies and rehabilitations. And if the project is a project that is, although it is insolvent, is still a viable project. And viable I mean by way of reducing or writing off certain debts, including bank debts, interest, etc., refinancing, finding new investors, a bankruptcy court may be willing to consider a rehabilitation. Briefly about rehabilitation, what does it really mean? And who are eligible to petition for what they call a rehabilitation order. You can have both an involuntary rehabilitation, which means it's not done by the company which is in trouble itself, it's done by creditors, and one or more creditors who are owed at least 10 million baht can file for rehabilitation. It's not a lot of money, so even one or two owners or buyers of properties could even, in theory, file for a rehab order. It is also possible for the company itself to protect itself against its creditors, protect itself against lawsuits by filing for a rehabilitation order, which is often done in the United States. You've seen all the car companies in the news, and a number of car companies have gone through the Chapter 11 proceedings. Delta Airlines, United Airlines, American Airlines, most of the airlines in the U.S. have gone through very similar proceedings. Proceedings that we have in Thailand are mostly based on the American Chapter 11 provisions. But if you're a creditor, we're now talking probably more from the perspective of the creditor, I think, you have to realize that you have to show that, first of all, the company is, of course, insolvent. You have a valid claim. The claim doesn't necessarily have to be a claim that is actually already a claim that has to be paid, i.e. a claim that is already due. It can be a contingent liability, or it can be a liability that becomes due in time. You just have to show that you are owed money, or you will be owed money at a certain time, and at this point in time, you believe the company cannot pay the money because it's insolvent. But you also have to show to the court that you believe that there is a way to do a business restructuring. So in other words, there are enough assets or there are enough possibilities to restructure the business of the company that is in trouble so that it comes out of rehab again and can go on with its business.